For many high-income professionals and entrepreneurs, I recommend a second or third income source using consulting because it's very easy to set up, low overhead. But here's a challenge that a lot of people don't consider. I'm Justin Hitt with Sustainable Wealth Secrets. Often when you get a business, you start going into QuickBooks, you start going into these accounting packages, and you start getting into this platform so that you can have an assistant enter books or anything like that for you, kind of a time productive base. But often this causes additional overhead, additional frustration, and challenges that can make it difficult at the end of the year to get your taxes done. What I've been recommending lately for folks who are getting into consulting as a part-time adventure, kind of a secondary means. Actually, the great thing about consulting is if you actually have a business set up as a consultant and you have professional expenses that are related to your consulting, you could actually roll a lot of that into the business and use it as a tax deduction. But when you have the opportunity to do some side work, you can simply say, great, here's how we work. You have a paid consultation. And after the consultation, we decide how we're going to approach the job. I'll submit a statement of work. You accept the statement of work. Your consultation is applied towards the actual activity. And after your deposit, we get started on your project right away. See, I've written in my subject matter areas, I've written procedural manuals, special reports. I've written research studies. So somebody said to me, hey, we're going to buy this new computer system. This was back in the day. We're going to buy this new computer system. We need a server. Can you help us with the specifications? Great. Let's do a consultation. I write up a report. At the report delivery, I've subtracted the consultation fee and I charge them the remaining and boom, we're done. But the vehicle of your business helps you do this and to offset some of your costs by having a structure in place. Now, here's what's important. In order to have your taxes done reasonably well, my taxes are like 43 pages long. In order to have your taxes done reasonably well, you do need to have accurate books. Now, I've made the mistake of having a separate QuickBooks for every individual business. I've made the mistake of hiring offshore bookkeepers who did a horrible job. I've hired bookkeepers that did an incredible job, but I was paying them really cheap, and they found customers willing to pay them more. I've done the books myself. I've done the books with an in-house person. I've done the books out of the house. All together, there isn't any right way of doing it, but you have to make sure the administrative cost is less than the benefit of the business. So if your business is not making any money because it's this kind of sink that you're using as a tax deduction, then you are not benefiting by hiring. I think I was paying $11,000 a year for bookkeeping services. Now, they were doing bookkeeping for multiple rental properties, my personal bookkeeping or a family bookkeeping, and they were doing the business bookkeeping. So relatively speaking, it was not super expensive and it was not a large percentage of the earnings, but it's $11,000 that I wasn't able to utilize somewhere else to basically keep me from paying $11,000 to the IRS. Long story short, if you're just getting going and you're only tracking your personal finances right now, get with Quicken. Quicken has been the go-to for so many people, so many years. You can actually get a good overview of now it's not accounting, but you can get a good overview of your income, your expenses, your debt, your investments, all in one place. And you can see it with their business and their home and business plan. You could even, if you have 3 or 4 rental properties, you can even track 3 or 4 rental properties in it. The best thing about it is that the forecasting is there. Now, some people use Personal Capital online, which is okay as well, but Personal Capital doesn't have the invoicing function. So what works really well is Personal Capital for your overview, quick overview, checks and balances, and then Quicken for your all around. Now, if you're running more than a simple consulting business, you want to have QuickBooks. Now, there are other platforms, but I find that QuickBooks is pretty good. I've hired their accounting team to do stuff. It works relatively well. Plus, you can get QuickBooks qualified advisors all over the place. My point being, though, is that there has to be some system for tracking your income, your expenses, your assets and liabilities, for determining a profit and loss, for being able to tell the difference between your consulting expenses and your consulting income. Here's another thing that's important too. If you're putting your so you get a professional career and you're doing the consulting on the side, and your professional career has trade associations, training requirements, like continuing education credits. It's got a lot of contributed overhead. You can put that overhead in the consulting business, but you need to know when you close the consulting business what overhead was actually necessary and part of your career and what overhead was not. See, your unreimbursed employer expenses are very limited, but your expenses for the consulting business is not limited, but is not unlimited, but it is limited by a multiple year period. The IRS wants you to earn money, and you seriously have to market that consulting business in order to take those deductions. But again, these are concepts I want to throw out there, and you're going to sit down with your CPA or tax advisor to see what is right for you. When you have a clear picture of your home expenses, when you have a clear picture of your consulting expenses, when you have a clear picture of your career-related direct expenses, you're more able to plan, because part of sustainable wealth is reducing your expenses to the core efficiencies and increasing your income to maximum available. You want to know that these consulting projects are either making money or not making money. You want to know that the professional development is contributing to advancement in your career. You want to be aware that over the last couple of years, your promotions and raises at your business have been substantial or not have been substantial. The key to understanding all this stuff is to actually do some bookkeeping, actually record these details in accounting systems. Now, the Quicken platform can actually download your transactions. The QuickBooks platform can download your transactions. Most of these tools can do such. The key is setting up a regular time to go through these records, a regular habit of recording your transactions. Now, you don't have to record every detail of every transaction. You can record at a very high level. The key is understanding your expenses and your income according to the categories that will go on your tax return. So for example, if your sideline business is a agricultural interest like a farm, there are certain deductions and certain capital expenditures you have to keep track of for a farm. If it's rental property, there's certain capital expenditures and expenses you need for a rental property. If it's the consulting business, that's another platform. Now there's the structure associated with that as well. If you're an LLC, a single member LLC, or you're a sole proprietorship, then Quicken is just fine. But if you're a multi-member LLC or a corporation, you are probably going to want to be on QuickBooks. Now, at the time that you're listening to this, there may not be a Quicken, there may not be a QuickBooks. You have to find out what's relevant in your industry. The key is don't just wing it. You need some kind of system in place for accurate representation of your current income and expenses and your current assets and liabilities. Otherwise, there's no way to know how much your net worth is or to compare your net worth from year to year to know that you're increasing your wealth and producing some kind of sustainable growth in your overall activities. I'm Justin Hitt with Sustainable Wealth Secrets. If you have questions about this or anything else we cover, you can visit us at www.sustainablewealthsecrets. We've been talking about the importance of bookkeeping and the value of some very low-cost software that's available that can get you started today. The key is you've got to do something. If you want to transform your income into net worth, if you want to create assets that cash flow, if you want to know that what you're doing is building wealth in your family, then you've got to have some system in place. Again, if you have questions, visit us at www.sustainablewealthsecrets. Thanks for listening.